profit and sustainability rules. Graeme Souness alongside Simon this morning, and has been since 10 o'clock. Simon, we know first of all it was Everton who were hit. And then, of course, they appealed and the points deduction was reduced. And then it was Nottingham Forest who were hit. And now it's Leicester City who have been hit. But, of course, we know that Leicester will put up more than a strong fight. In fact, last week, FFP expert Stefan Borson was on this show, and he said, as far as Leicester were concerned, strap yourselves in. This is going to be a long, hard legal fight.
Leicester City are captured by the old rules, and the old rules don't have the expedited timetable that the rules that came in after they were relegated. They have only just effectively fessed up their numbers for 22-23. They resisted showing the numbers to the Premier League, presumably because they say, well, they're not a Premier League club and therefore they don't need to. And it will be a sort of slower, probably a more tortuous legal battle that will resolve itself probably sometime in the middle of next season.
Simon, not long after Stefan joined us on the show, then on Friday night, Leicester City really showed their muscle in a statement. Well, in a statement that, to say the least of it, was strongly worded, that Leicester City has been compelled to issue 2 urgent legal proceedings against the Premier League and the EFL. Leicester City will be seeking that each of these proceedings is determined by an appropriate and fully independent legal battle. Exactly what Stefan said. They're going to dig in and fight this all the way.
Legal panel.
Leicester said that they would, quote, prefer the proceedings to be in public so its supporters and the wider world can be informed about the important issues of football governance, but that the rules require them to be held confidentially. In other words, Leicester were saying, look, if we're going to have a fight, let's have it out in the open.
Oh, shut up, virtue signaling. There's no need to have this out in the open. It's clear.
Why not?
Produce your accounts. Very simple. Let's have a look at your accounts. Did you breach financial fair play? Yes, you did. And the reasons that you're going to try and get away from it is because you weren't under the EFL's jurisdiction. So when you were asked by the EFL to obey their rules, you said, no, we don't have to. Because when those rules were introduced, we weren't in your league, we were in the Premier League. So we don't have to give you our accounts like everyone else does in the league, because we don't have to, because we weren't in your league. OK, so we'll see about that then. So Dick DeMarco gets them off on a technicality. No, you don't have to show your accounts. And the reasons why Leicester didn't want to show their accounts to the EFL is because they knew that they were going to breach financial fair play in the EFL, and they didn't want the EFL saying, hang on a second, you lot, you can't buy any players in January and you have to sell some. So then the Premier League steps in and says, actually, you were a member club in our league in that season. So actually, if you breach financial fair, no, we're not in your league, we're now in the EFL. So you basically want to be out of consideration for any sanction, whether you agree with financial fair play or you don't, and whether you think like me it's becoming a blunt instrument and that accountants and lawyers are running football now. And like I said last week,
well, clearly they do think like you, and that's what they're thinking.
Well, these are the rules that they may want to change.
They're not barking at the moon here.
No, they're barking at the moon because
they're
going to try and find a technicality that's going to be crafted by a lawyer. Like I said last week, sooner rather than later, you're going to have a weird wigged barrister sitting in the dugout with the manager determining the outcomes on the field, because we've got to that point now. But the rules are the rules are the rules.
But Leicester nonetheless say they'll fight for the right of Leicester City and all clubs to pursue their ambitions, particularly where these have been reasonably and fairly established through sustained sporting achievement.
They will fight for the right to be able to breach the current governance because it suits their arguments, and they will cite the fact that once upon a time they won the Premier League on the basis of meritocracy and a club that was well run that didn't breach its financial obligations. Whoop-de-doo-dah. Once upon a time I had 100 million quid in the bank. Doesn't mean I'm entitled to be treated a certain way when I don't have it there anymore.
What happens if Leicester City beat the Premier League in court here?
Well, they're not going to court.
It's a massive embarrassment for Leicester City. Let's get for the Premier League if Leicester City pull their pants down to court.
First of all, it is not a characterisation that's correct. They're not going to court. They're going to go in front of an appropriate legal panel. And you don't have a panel in a courtroom. You have a judge and a jury. So it's not going to be in court. So let's get the characterisation right. What they want is the same as Manchester City, which is, if you want to do these sort of things, then we want to make sure that we have some degree of control or influence over how that's configured. And in the language of Stefan Borson, who is a Man City acolyte, that means that you have to have these serious allegations treated seriously by serious people, and that takes a serious amount of time, which, by the way, in isolation, in of itself, is a lot of old cobblers, because you can get to these things relatively quickly if you have an appetite to do so, and you're innocent. Leicester have broken financial fair play. Now, it's about the appetite of the Premier League, and I agree with them. What are the Premier League doing here? They're destroying their own product. I agree that there's
Leicester City?
No, I don't agree with Leicester City. I agree with the principle of what are we doing to our football? Careful here now. We're moving into the territory of destroying the golden goose. In order to do what? What are we achieving? Are we really controlling the way football should be going in the best interest? We've got an independent regulator coming in. We've got financial governance, which makes our leagues no longer investable. Is this good? Or does it actually add to the argument about sustainability?
So what do you think? Answer your own question.
I think Leicester are guilty. And I think they should be charged appropriately, and they can't get out from underneath on both fronts. They can't get out of the championship and go, well, I wasn't in your league, so I'd have to comply with your rules. Okay, you weren't in our league. Okay, fine. You were in the Premier League. No, I'm not in your league anymore, so I have to comply with them. That's what the argument is.
If you were at Leicester City, though, presumably you'd come out with a similarly strongly worded statement like, right, we'll take you on. We'll go toe-to-toe.
Well, depends what you think
As opposed to, you would never give it, oh, we're guilty.
No. But depends what you think gets you out from underneath in the best. You have to be commercially pragmatic, right? What we've learned is this subjectivity. We've learned that if you play nicely with the people that are governing the game, the independent commissions that adjudicate on these bases, they will take it into consideration. If you think that you've got a technical argument, and clearly Nick DeMarco thinks he's got one, so we're going to get people out from underneath on technical arguments. We're not going to get them out on the basis that they actually haven't done. There's no doubt. This is not a debate. Leicester City have broken financial fair play. It's all about jurisdiction, whether they're in the control of the Premier League or in the control of the EFL.
But you just said you don't agree with the rules.
I know. I think they're a blunt instrument, and I think they need to be sophisticated. I agree, and the only reason we're talking about it now is every one of these buggers was happy to take financial penalties. The moment it's not financial penalties, oh, hang on a second, don't like these rules. But you've had 10 years to sit in meetings and go, I tell you what, let's get 14 of us together and say we're not having any more of this, we're going to change the rules. But they didn't, because they were not worried about it, because it was financial. Now it's sporting merit and it's points, and those supersede £10 million fines. All of a sudden, everyone's screaming like stuck pigs. They had an opportunity. Reap the whirlwind. This is what you voted for. This is what you allowed to manifest itself. If you want it changed, then do something about it.
Well, Leicester are going to take the authorities on. Who wins it?
Well, who wins it? Well,
lawyers.
Well, there's your answer. Ultimately, who wins the look? It's a strange one because the Premier League is.
If I'm a Leicester fan, I want to hear my club saying things like that.
What is the Premier League? When we think about it, it's 20 member clubs, so they're fighting with one another. So what is it? It's an implement. What does the Premier League do? Go, here's the rules. Oh, actually, no, we like you, Leicester City, because you won the league in 2016. They don't apply to you. They've got to change the rules and look at what they're doing to themselves. Try and get the balance between sustainability, distribution into the 72 clubs outside the Premier League, and allowing this golden goose to continue to progress.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.